Hi, welcome to What's Cooking with Rochelle. Today we're gonna make cinnamon rolls, one of almost everybody's favorites. And we're making a very traditional cinnamon roll, so it comes in a few steps. The first step is actually to make the dough. So since it's a cinnamon roll, it's a sweet dough. So we are going to take our bowl. Now I do it all with the mixer. You could do it 100% by hand, but you don't have to. So here we have 3/4 of a cup of whole milk. Now you can use 2%, but definitely don't use skim milk. You need some fat in the recipe. So that milk is warm. So it's the baby water temperature. So when you stick your finger in it, it feels warm, but it doesn't feel hot at all. To this, we are going to add 1/4 cup of sugar. That's white sugar. And we are going to add eggs. So I'm going to add 1 whole egg and then just 1 egg yolk. And we're just going to separate it into our bowl. Okay, we'll set that aside. We don't need that for this recipe. We're also adding in 1/4 cup, which is 4 tablespoons of melted butter. I use unsalted butter, but you can use salted, it doesn't matter. We're also adding in yeast, obviously. This is 1 packet, which is 2 1/4 tablespoons. So I'm just gonna give this a quick stir, and then on top of this, I'm gonna put the yeast. And we are going to let that sit and start to bubble and ferment. And that takes about 5 minutes. So I will see you guys back here in just a minute. Okay, so to our mixture, what we're going to do is we're going to add 3 cups of flour. And you can literally just dump it in. Now this is bread flour. If you don't have bread flour, you can use all-purpose flour. And then we're adding 3/4 of a cup of teaspoon of salt. And I'm using sea salt, but you could use whatever kind you want. Now we're gonna give this just a real quick stir. And then we're gonna put it on the mixer. And we are going to let this mix for about 8 minutes or so until we get a shaggy, excuse me, not a shaggy ball, a smooth ball. And I'll show you what that'll look like. So let's get this on the mixer. And you're just gonna let it mix, like I said, for about 8 minutes until it's all combined into a nice ball. If it's a little sticky still, we're gonna add just a little bit more flour, but we should be good to go. Okay, so I just shut this off. It's been mixing for 8 minutes. Now the best thing about making homemade cinnamon rolls this way is all the hard work was done by the mixer. I'll get that thing out of the way. Now I'm going to show you guys, you see the dough hook is completely clean, right? So this is how you know you have the right mixture of the flour. It's literally like you could eat off of it. We're not going to do that. We're going to wash it. So you've got your bowl here of dough, of a nice, sweet, yummy dough. And we're simply just going to make it into a pretty ball. And roll that around. Okay, and we're going to put this in a bowl. Now you want the bowl that you put it in to be at least twice as big as what you have, because this is going to expand twice the size. So When this gets done rising, it's going to fill this bowl pretty much. But there's one more thing you need to do. You need to oil the outside. So you could oil it with olive oil, avocado oil, coconut oil, butter, or I'm just using a spray. But you do want to grease it pretty generously. And then you need to cover it. Now, you could just cover it with a towel, but I like to use wrap. And that is it. We're going to let this sit for an hour to an hour and a half, depending on what the temperature is in your house and how humid it is, how long it'll take. But here in Vegas, it'll happen pretty fast. But as soon as it's done, we will go ahead and show you what it looks like when it's doubled in size, and then we'll get to the fun part. Okay, so we get to have fun. You're going to deflate it. So just gently squeeze it. You can see how it's just going to go whoop, right back down. Okay, we're going to take it out of our bowl. Now you can roll it out on a surface. If you need a mat to roll it on, that's fine. We want to make a rectangle, and we are going to then put the ooey gooey inside part in it. Now if you need a little flour, just add a little flour to prevent your rolling pin from sticking. You don't want to add a lot though, because you want to make it less flour. Maybe it's just a little bit out of the way. And there's no, like I've said many a time, it doesn't have to be perfect. But you can see we're getting a rectangle shape. And the thinner you roll it, the more cinnamon sugar you're going to get inside of it. So that's up to you. If you like yours with less cinnamon and sugar, then leave it a little thicker. But that looks good to me. You need about a 1/4 cup of softened butter. So you can see I've let this sit out. While your dough was rising, if you just got it out then, that would absolutely work. And this is the fun part because you get to get all gooey and dirty. Get your hands in there. Get it spread around. You want to make sure you get all the pieces and parts. Nice coating of it. And you're going to use all of it, so that would be 4 tablespoons. And once we put the insides on, we're going to actually put this in a pan. So I'm going to use my buttered hand to actually put some butter in the bowl. And I actually got a little bit more. Let's figure we need it. Okay, so you can see how that's all buttered now. We'll set that aside for now. So the next part is the cinnamon and the sugar, the brown sugar. Now I use a dark brown sugar. If you'd rather use a lighter brown sugar, that's fine. You can also do it with white sugar. Brown sugar adds the color that you're used to seeing. And you're just going to sprinkle this around, as you can see, and kind of coat it evenly. And we're going to spread it around more, so don't worry, it doesn't have to be perfect. Cooking is not about perfection, it's about fun and making something that you like to eat. Alright, so now to the sugar part. Again, you're just going to sprinkle this around. You could mix them together if you wanted to. You can put nuts in your cinnamon rolls, but we're not doing that today. And most of the time I would recommend either a pecan or a walnut. Pecans are one of my favorite nuts. Okay. Now what you're going to do is just rub it around a little bit. Get it all absorbed into the butter. So you can see how we're doing that. And you could skip this step, but it just makes it a little bit more evenly dispersed. Try to get as much to the edges as you can too, so that person gets all the goodness as well. Okay, and that looks pretty good. What do you think? Okay, so you're simply going to roll it up. Start at the edge that's closest to you. Grab just a little bit and tuck it in on itself, just like that. And you want to roll it pretty tight. Now the weight of it will roll on top of itself. So you see how easy that was? Okay, so now we've got it rolled. Now we need a knife and we're going to cut it. You don't need a big fancy knife, just a regular knife. We're going to cut the ends off and put those aside. They still taste good, they just won't have as much of the stuff in them. So you want to go about 1 inch, guys. So if you don't know what an inch is about the middle digit of your index finger. And then just simply cut the pieces. And when we get closer to the end, we'll just make sure we're not going to have one that's a really weird size. Now this is going to go through a second raising. Okay, so don't put them in the oven now or you'll be sorely disappointed. They need to rise again, and depending on the temperature again that you live in or your kitchen, if you have a proofing button on your oven setting, you could definitely use that. Oh, that was pretty even, huh guys? Okay, so we're going to take our other pan, because we didn't do this one yet. Sorry. Because we're going to need 2 pans, as you can see. You don't have to use a round pan. I just always liked a round pan. If you would rather do square, or you could do one long oblong, you can do that too. So you're going to take them and put them with the cut side up like that. So you see? And you're going to leave a little space. And let's see how we do here as far as distribution. They are going to expand again. Okay, so remember they expanded before. They're going to do the same thing on you, or they should. Okay, so let's see here. Gonna get that guy in there, that guy in there, and then we're going to stick these little guys in the middle of this one. Okay? Alrighty. Now that our cinnamon rolls are in the pan, we are going to cover these, which is why I told you to keep your your plastic wrap. And then you're going to sit them out again for a half an hour to 45 minutes or an hour. You want them to fill the pan. So leave them sit and rise in a warm place, or like I said, if you have a proof button on your oven. And then we'll come back and cook them. See you soon. Okay, look at these babies. Oh my gosh. Now take the plastic off. See how they filled the pans? Wonderful, wonderful. Okay, so our oven is preheated to 350 degrees. We're gonna put them in there for 20 to 25 minutes. Now, while they're in the oven, we're gonna go ahead and get everything out to make the frosting. So once they come out, we can put that on. All right, time to make our frosting. Simple. We have half a bar, which is 4 ounces of softened cream cheese, 3 tablespoons of softened butter, and we are just going to mix these together. Now, if they're not softened, you could use an electric mixer, but really there's no need if they're softened. It'll take us just a second to combine these. Okay. Now we're going to add to this a teaspoon of vanilla and 1/3 of a cup of powdered sugar. Now again, if you want them sweeter, add more sugar, powdered sugar. If you want them not sweet at all, you don't even have to add any. Sometimes I don't, but I did want to show you that so that you know where to add the sugar in at. And you can see how easy this was to combine and make. And then we are just going to spread this on top of the rolls after they are out of the oven while they are still hot. Look at these. All right. So we do want to ice them while they're hot. So usually what I do is I kind of like divide it so I know how much to put on one versus the other. Take with a knife and just spread a little around the tops of each of them. Now you know when you go out and get these somewhere, there is tons and tons of frosting. Too much sometimes, really. But if you like tons of frosting, you can absolutely double the frosting recipe, and then you just put more frosting on. All right? And you don't have to frost them. So if you wanted to have unfrosted, you could. You know, the only difference between this and a sticky bun is usually with a sticky bun, they put nuts in the middle before you roll it up. And also then they are cooked in a sugar butter mixture. That's what makes the sauce on them. But you can see, to me, this is enough, enough frosting. There we go, we got one down. Let's get the other guy frosted. And you can see how they're just a little bit brown, but they're not burnt. If you like yours more doughy in the middle, you can cook them just a hair less. Or, like I said, if you make them thicker, they will be more doughy in the middle as well. We did 1-inch pieces. So if you did like 1.5 inches, 2-inch thick, you'd need a thicker pan, deeper pan, I should say. But that is definitely options for you. Some people put raisins in theirs too, which is also another thing you could add. give this guy a little bit more here. Okay. And these are classic cinnamon rolls. This is a easy dish. It takes a little time, but not a lot of actual work time. So it gives you time to watch a movie, do a puzzle, play a game, something, take care of the kids. But here we are, cinnamon rolls. All right, now for the fun, we get to eat yummy cinnamon rolls. Now, normally I just eat them with my hands, but I'm being nice for you guys. I bet you didn't know it was so easy. Remember, make them how you want. You want them sweeter, make them sweeter. You want no sugar at all, you can do that. It's up to you. Thank you once again so much for watching What's Cooking with Rochelle. Bye for now.